YouTube. Welcome back to the channel, and on today's episode we are going to be going over the topic of stop waiting, start living. Stop waiting and start living. How many times have you said I'll start tomorrow? The dread of procrastination. Most people think that they need more time, more planning, or a perfect moment to take action. But the truth is, the perfect time does not exist. What if I told you that waiting is actually the thing holding you back from living your fullest life? If you've ever felt like you're stuck in limbo, waiting for the right moment to change, you are not alone. By the end of this, you're going to realize that living your best life starts now, not tomorrow. Procrastination, why do we do it? Why do I do it? Why do I at times find myself procrastinating on the things I should be doing? Could it be that they're not as a higher priority on my priority list? Mentally, do I know that I gotta put this off until later? Is that a good trap? Is that a good mindset to develop, or is that a bad trap? Sometimes I think the reason we procrastinate is because we don't want to feel that pain right now. Whether it be working on that assignment or starting that project. The reason we procrastinate is because it's easier to live in our heads than it is to actually do the work. The reason we procrastinate to go to the gym is because the pain of going to the gym hurts sometimes. And it's much easier to just stay at home and do nothing. All right, let's go to point number one. You're probably waiting for some magical sign, thinking that if you just wait a little longer, things will fall into place. But here's the truth. The waiting game is actually the biggest illusion we create for ourselves. The waiting game is actually the biggest illusion we create for ourselves. I'm going to wait till tomorrow before I start eating healthier. I'm going to wait until it's closer to the due date before I start this project. I'm going to wait until I hit the age of 30 before I get my life together. By then, by waiting, things will fall into place for me. Things will magically come into fruition simply because I wait. Is that true? Has that methodology worked for you? I used to think that I'd start living when I hit a certain milestone, whether that was finishing school, getting a promotion, or achieving some goal. But when I reached those milestones, I realized nothing had changed. I was still waiting. Here's what I did differently. I stopped waiting for things to change and took small actions today, no matter how insignificant they seemed. Here's an example. Today, just like yesterday and the day before, I was hesitant to record simply because of the fact that my videos, my long form, they haven't been getting that many views. Definitely not enough views to get monetized. So why do I even do it? The reason I still do it, and the things I tell myself, is that I have a goal, right? My goal is to get monetized. And I could wait till I learn more about YouTube or until I get better content, right? It's just me talking in my car. Nobody wants to watch that. Or I could wait until I get better at editing. I get a better camera, or I get better sound quality, or whatever. I get better ideas. I definitely could wait. But the reason that I still record on a daily basis is because, number one, I'm working towards the building of my YouTube channel, right? Whether I get 0 views, no views, I get a lot of views, I get subscribers, I get no subscribers, I'm working on it. That's different than me getting the result that I want. My goal ultimately would be I post this video and I get a lot of subs. That way I get qualified for the monetization program and I get a ton of views. That way I get paid for my views, right? That's the ultimate goal, right? But it has not yet happened for me. So, like I mentioned before, I could wait until things get better for me before I create more content. But the reason I still continue to create content is because of the intangibles I learn every day. As corny as that may sound, the reason I create videos, even to this day, are all of the intangible that I learn along the way. What, for example? The value of consistency, the value of getting 1% better every day, the value of showing up. Just today, I hit 108 subscribers. I started my intentional journey of growing my account on January 31st, 2025. I believe it's April 11th, or I think April 11th today, 2025. So within that time frame, I've grown the account to 108 subscribers. Blessed beyond compare. But The reason I think I was to achieve that amount of followers was simply because of the fact that I showed up every day. I created content every day, right? And it's funny because the pieces of content that I thought would do well didn't, and the pieces of content that I didn't think would do well, they did do well. So you never really know. Well, in my case, for example. So what I've learned so far, and the reason I still do this, even though I don't get to use, is because I believe that efforts compound. I believe that you gain a lot of intangible skills by holding yourself accountable to the goals you set for yourself. And as long as you're consistent on a daily basis and you set the benchmark and metric of getting 1% better every day, whether you realize it or not in the moment, you are getting better. I mean, I could just look at my first ever video to my current video and the skills I developed in terms of how I speak, how I structure my content, how I edit. It's vastly improved, right? And I don't think I'd be able to make that much of an improvement if I hadn't posted every day, if I hadn't learned something new every day. Yes, I'm nowhere near my goal, but I feel like I'm on the right path towards my goal. And this applies a lot to different aspects of life as well. The biggest relationship I could see, or the biggest way it relates, can also be seen through the art of bodybuilding, or getting fitter, or getting healthier. If you were to kind of just like front load everything, right? You were to, let's say I want to get a six pack. So you just train abs for like 6 hours. It's not yield the same results as being consistent for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, right? The same thing could be said, I'm only going to work out when I feel motivated or when I feel like it. That's not going to yield the same results as having a detailed plan of showing up consistently 6 out of the 7 days out of the week, right? Because you need that rest day. And trust me, you're not going to have like the best pump. You're going to have the best workout every single time you work out. The best way to explain this is some days when you go to the gym, everything is going great for you. You know, the bench is open for your bench press. No one is blocking your way to get to the weights. You know, there may not be that many people at the gym, which is like bonus for you because gym is literally all yours, right? But then there are also going to be those days where you don't get that many hours of sleep. You show up, you go to the gym and it's packed. The machines or that you planned on using are all being occupied now. So you have two options, right? If you show up with the intention of getting things done, but things don't work out your way, what do? Do you quit, or do you pursue, or do you continue to move forward? I think it's in those days where you still hold yourself accountable that where a lot of the growth happens. I feel like a lot of success, right? Yes, a small amount of it is luck, but I also believe that a majority of success is showing up daily. That no matter if it's a good day or a bad day, that you give 100% of what you can at that time. Now 100% varies, right? You could have, the best sleep. You could be on point, you could be, and then you give 100%, right? But 100% could also mean that let's say you have 3 hours of sleep. You're busy at work. You have all these responsibilities nagging at you. And you go to the gym and all you can do is do cardio. It isn't going to be explosive as if you got 8 hours of sleep, had a good diet, like your mind was clear, then you push weight. Those workouts are going to be vastly different because of the circumstances that you can't control. So what does that mean? Let's say you go to the gym, but the circumstances aren't in your favor. Giving 100% is giving 100% you can during that time. If it means just going to the gym for cardio, going for a walk, and that's all you can do, then that's perfect, right? You don't have to, feel like you push the more amount of weight every single time you go to the gym. It's giving 100% you can during that time. And this carries over to other aspects of your life as well. Not every day perfect, right? Life is unexpected, but it's all about being consistent and giving 100% of what you can at that time. All right, point number 2. You've probably been told that you need to plan or prepare for the future, but let me show you why that's incomplete. Think of it like waiting for the rain to stop before stepping outside. The rain might never stop, and if you don't step out, you'll never know what the world has to offer. Have you ever noticed that the people who make the biggest moves aren't waiting for the perfect condition? They're creating them. They're not waiting for the perfect opportunity, they're creating now. That's a good one. I think there's like a certain like transitional between like life where the world isn't going to hand you everything. That if you want something, you have to go and get it. I also think it's kind of weird too, like this whole phase where it was uncool to try. I'm not sure like what phase of my experience that, but like I feel like that was definitely a phase. Let me know. Let me feel the same way. Was there ever a phase in your life where like it was like uncool to try? Where'd that come from? The way I see it now is if you want something, you have to go get it. Like give it your all. The days, right? Stack time will come. They say Rome wasn't built in a day. Who you are right now is a result of the past decisions you made. Who you're going to be in the future is based on the decisions you make now. Start by taking a step, no matter how small. Action sparks momentum. All right, point number 3. Think about the last time you felt like you were waiting for the right time. What if I told you the real reason for that was fear of failure or fear of the unknown? Once you realize that fear is what's holding you back, you can see how waiting is just an excuse. Most people assume that waiting for the perfect moment will make things easier, but that's where they get stuck. So here's what to do instead. Face the fear, take the action, and the moment becomes perfect. Fear of failure and fear of unknown. I think anytime you step outside of your comfort zone, you're either you're entering the failure or fear of the unknown. But I also have come to realize that that's where the comes, and that once you take that leap, you'll learn how to build the plane along the way down, or you'll learn how to build the parachute along the way down. That's life, honestly. You know, I always like a lot of people play it too small, and they should think big, and that if your dreams don't scare you, then they aren't big enough. I sometimes wonder what happens to dreams as we age. You know, the big dreams we have for ourselves when we're young. Maybe it could be father time, honestly. I feel like as we get older, we kind of shift our focus from wanting certain things. Or it could be your environment, maybe. If you're around people that are settling down, you know, in their careers, you're in an environment where people are always innovating, challenging the status quo, stepping outside of their comfort zone, you know, it's all perspective. I sometimes think fear of failure, like you try something and then you fail, and then you kind of just like stand back up. You know, the failure pushes you down, and then you're like, oh man, you feel defeated for like a second, and then you just get back up and you try again. And it sucks to try again because it means that you have to start over, and that everything that you put your time and effort in would fail. And then you are hesitant because starting over sucks. And you know, there's this whole like, oh, when you start, you're not starting over from the very beginning. You're starting over with your experience and your wisdom, which is true, right? I get it. But I think it's just very difficult, right? Yes, you are starting with your wisdom and experience, but like the final product isn't, and it just gets so frustrating. But I'm also starting to realize why like a lot of these people, a lot of their qualities revolve around grit and perseverance. Because man, I can only imagine, like you put your work into something and then it fails, and then you just feel so down because everything that you tried, everything that you've worked on so far has failed. So what do you do now? Perseverance and grit, honestly. And then you compare yourself where it's like they're finding success already, and here you are starting over for like the 100th time, and you question, man, if I just did this, you know, played it safe when I was younger, I would already be here. I'm starting to understand why people say comparison is the thief of joy, because at times it can be. Why do you think we compare? Where do you think comparison comes from? Is it like a natural human nature behavior where we like immediately compare ourselves and who we are to other people to gain that gratification? Could be like a social thing where kind of like developed. I'm kind of just like trying to like dig a hole deeper, figuring things out. Well, let's move forward. Point number 4. Here's why most people never reach their full potential. They're waiting for permission, for a sign, for everything to line up. But here's the missing piece. The permission to act comes from within. Once you stop waiting and start doing, you'll see things around you begin to shift in ways you never expected. Most people assume that waiting for the perfect moment will make things easier, but that's why they stay stuck. Face the fear, take the action, and the moment becomes perfect. Is life all about moments? Of course, we have this grand scheme of plans, how we want life to turn out. But is life all about moments where we're faced with two options And if we take option A, our life will turn out this way. And if we take option B, our life will turn out this way. Embrace the moments. Capitalize on that moment. Stop waiting and start doing. Perception is a big one too. I think that if you're able to, okay, here's how I see it, right? Is the thief of joy. But we often use a benchmark of where we should be in life. Regardless of where you stand on that, I think you should find a way to use comparison in a way that benefits you rather than puts you down. And then number 2, master each moment, right? You have a decision, you have a plan, and each decision brings you one step closer to the accomplishment of that plan. So value your decision, be in the moment. Number 3, I'd probably say take a new perspective. I think no matter what, you always have the option to be positive or negative. It's like this whole saying, change the way you look at things and things you look at change. Right? Comparison. If you use it as a way to put yourself down, saying that, oh, I'm nowhere near where I'm supposed to be, or you use it as a way to make you better. It's all about your perspective. All right, to wrap it all up, if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this: the perfect moment will never come. The time to act is now. Perfect moment will never come. The time to act is now. I think you have to be impatient with action, but patient with results, right? You're impatient to move things forward, so you take a whole bunch of action, but you have to be patient with the result. There you go. Let me know what you think. Stop waiting, start living. Stop waiting short, way too short. Make the most of it, Be grateful, be blessed, and it'll come. With that being said, if you made it this far to the video, I thank you. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next video. Peace.